Hello there. I'd just like to say thank you. Some really, really interesting ideas coming up. What I would find quite useful, actually, is because you've mentioned things like brain chemistry, dopamine. I've got a vague understanding of these things. I'm not sure how many people in the audience do. Do we have time for a brief description of how these chemicals affect the brain and can cause depression, or is there anywhere that we can go to? You know, in this day and age, it would be, say, Wikipedia, which isn't maybe that accurate, but anywhere that we can kind of look up and see how these chemicals do affect our brains, and then maybe read a little bit more about what we can do about it.
You can read my book.
I knew you'd say that.
Oh, I can't see the person who's asking.
She's up there.
Up there.
Yeah.
In the back. Oh, right, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, our brains are a big soup full of chemicals, and they have profound effects on the way that we think and feel, and that's at the heart of, you know, psychiatric medications. But it's also true that we can influence the way that we think and feel and the soup that is in our brain with our own volitional intentionality, which is how we choose to relate to the experiences that are going on in our minds. In terms of finding a good source of information, yeah, I'm just trying to think.
Well, there's those Dan Siegel.
Yeah,
Rick
Dan
Hansen.
Siegel.
My book. I mean, the point is, I don't think you have to know the details about it, because it's so complex. But basically, it's, again, to me, knowledge is power. You know, if you do understand that, you know, the drive to, there's a point where something can become addictive. And just the knowledge that, you know, I do 1,000 things a day, you know, things that in this world we all prize ourselves on, going, are you busy? And I say, I've almost had 2 heart attacks, and people go, that's fantastic. You must be doing so well. You know, you really start to question, where is your limit? Where are you healthy, and where are you making yourself sick? So you don't actually have to know where the chemical or what the neurotransmitter is. You really can start to see that the way you think influences every single hormone that comes out of you, and it completely maps how your brain looks. Every thought you have is created by the shape of your brain, and it really starts to make you think. I used to live a life totally in revenge, thinking who I could kill. That was releasing such toxicity up here that in the end, I'm killing myself off. Now, I don't have to know exactly what the chemicals are, but that notion becomes interesting, that the way you think is how you're influencing the shape up here.
And I think the next generation of neuroscience certainly is very much about saying, well, we have all this understanding about neurotransmitters, but the subtleties of the brain are so vast, and some of the things that Ruby mentioned, for example, like cortisol, actually is a hormone. You know, and we really only just starting to understand, like, all the different kinds of neurohormones and neuropeptides that are in the brain, you know, really subtly modulating all these sorts of things. So certainly cortisol is one that we hear a lot about, the stress hormone. And now, sort of in the wake of some of the mindfulness research, you know, we're also interested in oxytocin, which is like the love hormone. You know, how can we kind of reduce cortisol but increase oxytocin so that we can redress this balance in the brain and have flourishing and thriving and resilience.